Welcome everyone to tonight's Good Friday service. It's going to be pretty simple. There's no message here. You'll see in your bulletin we'll have 3 sections, and I'll be giving a narrative reading of Jesus' final 3 days. I've taken the liberty and added in a few storylines there to kind of connect all the scripture pieces, so it kind of reads through as one piece. A little background on what's going on here is that this whole account of the 3 days in the Passover celebration, it was a yearly festival held in Jerusalem. And so what was taking place in the capital city there's a pilgrimage from all over Israel where people were coming to celebrate that time in Jerusalem. So Jesus and his disciples were amongst those pilgrims that were going into the city. And so when we celebrated Palm Sunday, that was him along with the other pilgrims coming into the city to celebrate the Passover festival. So that's kind of the background to the story we're here this evening up to his final moments. When we get to that part of the reading, I will go ahead and put out the candles and we will depart in silence at that point. Yes, sir.
Did you want me to go up there?
Sure, yeah. You just with our first hymn to begin our service is hymn 155 and Sarah was with me. Well, Jesus was in Jerusalem at the temple with his disciples after he had triumphantly entered into Jerusalem on a colt. He was with his disciples and other pilgrims visiting the city for the Passover celebration. As Jesus looked up, he saw the rich putting their gifts into a temple treasury. He also saw a poor widow put in 2 very small copper coins. "Truly, I tell you," he said, "this poor widow has put in more than all the others. All these people gave their gifts out of their wealth, but she, out of her poverty, put in all she had to live on." Some of his disciples were remarking about how the temple was adorned with beautiful stones and with gifts dedicated to God. But Jesus said, For as what you see here, the time will come when not one stone will be left on another, every one of them will be thrown down. Teacher, they asked, when will these things happen? And what will be the sign that they are about to take place? He replied, watch out, that you are not deceived, for many will come in my name, claiming I am he, and the time is near. Do not follow them. When you hear of wars and uprisings, do not be frightened. These things must happen first, but the end will not come right away. Then he said to them, nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be great earthquakes, famines in various places, and fearful events, the great signs from heaven. But before all this, they will seize you and persecute you. They'll hand you over in the synagogues, put you in prison, and you will be brought before kings and governors, and all on account of my name. And so you will bear testimony to me. But make up your mind, do not worry beforehand how you will defend yourselves. For I will give you words and wisdom that none of your adversaries will be able to resist or contradict. You will be betrayed even by your parents, brothers, sisters, relatives, or friends, and they will put some of you to death. Everyone will hate you because of me, but not a hair of your head will perish. Stand firm, and you will win life. There will be signs in the sun, the moon, and the stars on the earth. Nations will be in anguish and perplexity at the roaring and tossing of the sea. People will faint from terror, apprehension of what is coming on the world, for the heavenly bodies will be shaken. At that time they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. When these things begin to take place, stand up and lift up your heads, because the redemption is drawing near. He told them this parable. Look at the fig tree and all the trees. When they sprout leaves, you can see for yourselves and know that the summer is near. Even so, when you see things happening, you know that the kingdom of God is near. Truly, I tell you, this generation will certainly not pass away until all these things have happened. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. Be careful of your hearts, will be weighed down with the anxieties of life, and that day will close on you suddenly like a trap. For it will come on those who live in the face of the whole earth. Be always on watch and pray that you may be able to escape all that is about to happen, and that you'll be able to stand before the Son of Man. Each day Jesus was teaching at the temple, and each evening he went out and spent the night on the hill called the Mount of Olives. And all the people came early in the morning to hear him at the temple, for there were great crowds of pilgrims visiting the city for the Passover celebration. Here ends our first reading. Our next hymn is 154. Our scripture readings continue from Matthew 26. When Jesus finished saying all these things, during this time of teaching at the temple while the Passover celebration was underway, he said to his disciples, "As you know, the Passover is 2 days away, and the Son of Man will be handed over to be crucified." Then the chief priests and the elders of the people assembled in the palace of the high priest, whose name was Matthias, and they schemed to arrest Jesus secretly and kill him. But not during the festival, they said, or there may be a riot among the people. Then one of the 12, the one called Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priests and said, "What are you willing to give me if I deliver him over to you?" So they counted out for him 30 pieces of silver. From then on, Judas watched for the opportunity to hand him over. The disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Where do you want us to make preparations for you to eat the Passover?" He replied, "Go into the city to a certain man and tell him, 'The teacher says my appointed time is near. I am going to celebrate the Passover with my disciples at your house.'" So the disciples did this as he had directed them to prepare the Passover. In this house was an upper room where Jesus and his disciples went to have the Passover meal. This house happened to be on Mount Zion, which is on the hillside of the city of Jerusalem. This Passover meal then fulfilled many prophecies about the accomplishments of God on Mount Zion. When evening came, Jesus was reclining at the table with the 12, and while they were eating, he said, "Truly, I tell you, one of you will betray me." They were very sad and began to say to him one after another, "Surely you don't mean me, Lord." Jesus replied, "The one who has dipped his hand into the bowl with me will betray me. The Son of Man will go just as it is written about him, but woe to the man who betrays the Son of Man. It would be better for him if he had not been born." Then Judas, the one who would betray him, said, "Surely you don't mean me, Rabbi." Jesus answered, "You have said so." While they were eating, Jesus took bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and gave it to his disciples, saying, "Take and eat, this is my body." Then he took a cup, and when he gave thanks, he gave it to them, saying, "Drink from it, all of you. This is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins. I tell you, I will not drink from this fruit of the vine from now until the day when I drink of it new with you in my Father's kingdom." The evening progresses. After the Passover meal, Jesus and his disciples finished with singing a hymn. They went out to the Mount of Olives. On the Mount of Olives, where they had been staying in the evenings during the celebration, Jesus told them, "This very night you will fall away on account of me, for it is written, 'I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock will be scattered.' But after I have risen, I will go ahead of you to Galilee." Peter replied, "Even if all fall away on account of you, I never will." "Truly, I tell you," Jesus answered, "this very night, before the rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times." Peter declared, "Even if I have to die with you, I will never disown you." And all the other disciples said the same. Then Jesus went with his disciples down to the base of the Mount of Olives and into the Garden of Gethsemane. And he said to them, "Sit here while I go over and pray." He took Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee along with him, and they began to be sorrowful and troubled. Then he said to them, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me." Going a little farther, he fell with his face to the ground and prayed, "My Father, it is possible. May this cup be taken from me. Yet not as I will, but as you will." Then he returned to his disciples and found them sleeping. "Couldn't you men keep watch with me for 1 hour?" He asked Peter. "Watch and pray, so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. He went away a second time and prayed, My Father, if it is not possible for this cup to be taken away unless I drink it, may your will be done. When he came back, he again found them sleeping, because their eyes were heavy. So he left them and went away once more and prayed the third time, saying the same thing. Then he returned to the disciples and said to them, Are you still sleeping and resting? Look, the hour has come. The Son of Man is delivered into the hands of the sinners. Rise, let us go. Here comes my betrayer. Here ends our second reading. Jacob, I am offering and sharing my prayers and special needs. Our third scripture reading is from John 18. Now Judas, who betrayed him, knew the place, because Jesus had often met there with his disciples. So Judas came to the garden, guiding a detachment of soldiers and some officials from the chief priests and Pharisees. They were carrying torches, lanterns, and weapons. Jesus, knowing all that was going to happen to him, went out and asked, "Who is it that you want?" "Jesus of Nazareth," they replied. "I am he," Jesus said. And Judas, the traitor, was standing there with them. When Jesus said, "I am he," they drew back and fell to the ground. Again he asked them, "Who is it that you want?" "Jesus of Nazareth," they said. Jesus answered, "I told you that I am he. If you're looking for me, then let these men go." This happened so that the words he had spoken would be fulfilled. "I have not lost one of those whom you gave me." Then Simon Peter, who had a sword, drew it, struck the high priest's servant, cutting off his right ear. The servant's name was Malchus. Jesus commanded Peter, "Put your sword away. Shall I not drink the cup the Father has given me?" Then the detachment of soldiers with its commander and the Jewish officials arrested Jesus. They bound him, brought him first to Annas, who was the father-in-law to Caiaphas, the high priest that year. Caiaphas was the one who had advised the Jewish leaders that it would be good if one man died for the people. Simon Peter and another disciple were following Jesus. Because this disciple was known to the high priest, he went with Jesus into the high priest's courtyard. But Peter had to wait outside at the door. The other disciple, who was known to the high priest, came back, spoke to the servant girl on duty there, and brought Peter in. "You aren't one of this man's disciples, too, are you?" she asked Peter. He replied, I'm not. It was cold, and the servants and officials stood around the fire. They made it warm. Peter also was standing with them, warming himself. Meanwhile, the high priest questioned about his disciples and his teaching. "I have spoken openly to the world," Jesus replied. "I have always taught in synagogues or at the temple where all the Jews come together. I said nothing in secret. Why question me? Ask those who heard me. Surely they know what I said." When Jesus said this, one of the officials nearby slapped him in the face. "Is this the way you answer the high priest?" he demanded. "If I said something wrong," Jesus replied, "testify as to what is wrong. But if I spoke the truth, why did you strike me?" Then Annas sent him abound to Caiaphas, the high priest. Meanwhile, Simon Peter was standing there warming himself. So they asked him, "You aren't one of those disciples too, are you?" He denied, saying, I am not. One of the high priest's servants, a relative of a man whose ear Peter had cut off, challenged him. "Didn't I see you with him in the garden?" Again, Peter denied it. At that moment, a rooster began to crow. Then the Jewish leaders took Jesus from Caiaphas to the palace of the Roman governor. By now it was early morning. And to avoid ceremonial uncleanliness, they did not enter the palace because they wanted to be able to eat the Passover. So Pilate came out to them and asked, "What charges are you bringing against this man?" "If he were not a criminal," they replied, "we would not have handed him over to you." Pilate said, "Take him yourselves, judge him by your own laws." But we have no right to execute anyone, they objected. This took place to fulfill what Jesus had said about the kind of death he was going to die. Pilate then went back inside the palace, summoned Jesus, and asked him, Are you the King of Jews? Is that your own idea, Jesus asked, or did others tell you that about me? Am I a Jew? Pilate replied. Your own people and chief priests handed you over to me. What is it you have done? Jesus said, My kingdom is not of this world. If it were, my servants would fight to prevent my arrest by the Jewish leaders. But now my kingdom is from another place. You are a king then, said Pilate. Jesus answered, You say that I am a king. In fact, the reason I was born and came into the world is to testify to the truth. Everyone on the side of the truth listens to me. What is truth? Retorted Pilate. With this he went out against the Jews gathered there and said, I find no basis to charge against him. But it was your custom for me to release to you one prisoner at the time of Passover. Do you want me to release this King of Jews? They shouted back, No, not him. Give us Barabbas. Now Barabbas had taken part in an uprising. Then Pilate took Jesus and had him flogged. The soldiers twisted together a crown of thorns and put it on his head. They clothed him in a purple robe and went up to him again and again, saying, Hail, King of the Jews! And they slapped him in the face. Once more Pilate came out and said to the Jews gathered there, Look, I am bringing him out to you to let you know that I find no basis for a charge. When Jesus came out wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe, Pilate said to them, Here is the man. As soon as the chief priests and officials saw him, they shouted, Crucify, crucify. But Pilate answered, You take him and crucify him. For me, I find no basis for a charge against him. Jewish leaders insisted, We have a law, and according to that law, he must die, because he claimed to be the Son of God. When Pilate heard this, he was even more afraid. He went back inside the palace. Where do you come from? He asked Jesus. But Jesus gave him no answer. Did you refuse to speak to me? Pilate said. Did you realize I have power either to free or crucify you? Jesus answered, You would have no more power over me if it were not given to you from above. Therefore, the one who handed me over to you is guilty of greater sin. From then on, Pilate tried to set Jesus free. But the Jewish leaders kept shouting, If you let this man go, you are no friend to Caesar. Anyone who claims to be a king opposes Caesar. When Pilate heard this, he brought Jesus out and sat down in the judge's seat at a place known as Stone Pavement. It was the day of the preparation of the Passover. It was about noon. Here is your king, Pilate said to the Jews. They shouted, Take him away, crucify him. Shall I crucify your king? Pilate asked. We have no king but Caesar, the chief priests answered. Finally, Pilate handed him over to be crucified. So the soldiers took charge of Jesus, carrying his own cross. He went out to the place of the skull. There they crucified him, and with two others, one on each side, Jesus in the middle. Pilate had a notice prepared to fasten to the cross that read, Jesus of Nazareth, the King of Jews. Many of the Jews read the sign, for the place where Jesus was crucified was near the city. The sign was written in Aramaic. The chief priests of the Jews protested to Pilate, Do not write the King of Jews, but this man claimed to be the King of Jews. Pilate answered, What I have written, I have written. When the soldiers crucified Jesus, they took his clothes, dividing them into 4 shares, one for each of them, and the undergarment remaining. This garment was seamless, woven in one piece from top to bottom. Let's not tear this into one another. Let's decide by lot who will get it. This happened so that the scripture might be fulfilled that said, they divided my clothes among them and cast lots for my garment. So this is what the soldiers did. Near the cross of Jesus stood his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. When they saw his mother there, Jesus said to his disciple, whom he loved, standing nearby, he said to her, "Woman, here is your son," and to his disciple, "Here is your mother." From that time on, the disciple took her into his home. Our final hymn for this evening is 147. This final reading will conclude our service. Later, knowing that everything had now been finished, and so that scripture would be fulfilled, Jesus said, "I am thirsty." A jar of wine vinegar was there, so they soaked a sponge in it, put the sponge on a stalk of a hyssop plant and lifted it to Jesus' lips. When he had received the drink, Jesus said, "It is finished." With that, he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. At that moment, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth shook, the rocks split, and tombs broke open. Bodies of many holy people who had died were raised to life. They came out of the tombs after Jesus' resurrection and went into the holy city and appeared to many people. When the sunshine and those who were guarding Jesus saw the earthquake and all that happened, they were terrified and exclaimed, "Surely he was the Son of God." Now it was the day of the preparation, and the next day was to be a special Sabbath. because the Jewish leaders did not want the bodies left on the crosses during the Sabbath, one of the soldiers pierced Jesus' side with a spear, bringing a sudden flow of blood and water. The man who saw it has given testimony, and his testimony is true. He knows that he tells the truth, and he testifies that you will also believe. Later, Joseph of Arimathea asked Pilate for the body of Jesus. Now, Joseph was a disciple of Jesus, but secretly, because he feared the Jewish leaders. With Pilate's permission, he came and took the body away. He was accompanied by Nicodemus, the man who earlier had visited Jesus that night. Nicodemus brought a mixture of myrrh and aloes, about 75 pounds. Taking Jesus' body, the two of them wrapped it with spices and strips of linen. This was in accordance with Jewish burial customs. At the place where Jesus was crucified, there was a garden. In the garden, a new tomb, in which no one has ever been laid. Because it was the Jewish day of preparation, and since the tomb was nearby, they laid Jesus in there.